So as soon as I push that in, you get a very slick.
Well, hello. I am a little bit sick, so you have to bear with me on this video. But today we're going to talk a little bit about white canes and some of the struggles I've had with getting them, as well as some changes in the market. And this kind of ties in with some of the professional work that I'm going to be starting, in that I'm actually headed to Virginia near the end of this month to do my first flying professional speaking gig in quite a while. I did one almost 10 years ago now in that part of the country. I think that was in North Carolina. This one out at the University of Virginia is going to be a lot of fun. As part of that presentation, I am going to be doing an orientation mobility demonstration. And orientation mobility is essentially getting around when you can't see. So public transportation and environmental awareness, learning routes. But fundamental to all of that, at least for me personally, is using a white cane. And so today, I wanted to talk about two different types of canes, the pros and cons associated with them, and where to get them, and kind of what the market looks like. And that might seem like a strange point until you realize that canes are expensive for what they are. And I have two to show you today. The first of them is from a company called Utch. And as I show you the cane, I am going to switch camera angles here. That way you can look at me and the cane and we can learn a little bit more about them together. Alright, I am aware I think I just cut off my own head, but that is part of the point because I want you to be able to see the cane. And I'm talking about this. First one is from a company called Utch. Utch is based out of Canada. And what I appreciate about Utch specifically is some of their customization features. This cane has been my daily driver for, we're going on about 9 months, 10 months or so. And there are some features of this cane that may make it different than something you may have seen before. So the standard white cane, which has some elements on the second cane I'll show you, but the grip section is usually a golf grip style, which kind of means all-rounded with a flat section. Now this cane has a golf grip. However, rather than being made of a golf grip type rubber, this particular grip is made of wood. And so you have your flat section, and that is used, I'm going to switch hands, for holding your finger along it as you guide the cane throughout your travels. So this wooden grip, I just thought it was a neat idea. In terms of practicality, it's not bad, but I'll touch on that when I talk more about the cane's design specifically. This cane is starting to fall apart, and so really up close at the loop, we actually have a frayed bungee, and I'll show you how that's affected the rest of the cane. But this bungee is used for kind of two things. There is a knot about 3 inches from the top that forms a loop, and Utch canes specifically have this plastic loop piece at the top to kind of keep everything together. But if I slide that plastic piece, you'll see that the cane is just tied off in two different bungee knots at the end. So I'll see if I can get those on camera for you. Little bunny ear antennas. But this plastic piece then holds onto them and largely helps to prevent fraying, which is really cool. So that is a pro on the bungee side of Utch. Now this cane, because it's been my daily driver, suffers from a unique problem, which is that the bungee cord that is holding, so usually there are two connected pieces that travel from the knot and the top all the way down to the tip of the cane. And this cane, because it has been in use for quite a while, only has one bungee cord of two currently remaining, but it still holds up really well. And the second feature, so as we, I know I've been moving around, but as we move down from the grip, we have these conical aluminum joints. And so what that means is that as these two pieces come up and slot into each other, you get this really nice snap, and it's really a clean join. and as I pull up to fold it, when I was little, you'd have to pull way up like this and then kind of drop it down, because they were very long pieces of mostly straight aluminum. And so now, as soon as I lift it, it starts to bend, and it can drop right over. So it's a lot faster and more efficient to fold, which I appreciate. So going down from the grip section of this Ambutech cane, I selected for a second piece here with white reflective tape that has red striping on the next two sections. So I'm going to put these two together, and you'll see these red reflective tape sections. That is for primarily identifying myself to cars or passers-by with just a touch of the red, and I'll get to why I opted for the red reflective as opposed to the rest of the cane in just a moment. So we have more of these foldy sections. We're gonna keep rolling on down, and if I don't take my sealing out, which I'm gonna be very careful about here, there we go. So this bottom section, for those who may not be able to see it, is blue rather than red. I happen to be a fan of blue, and so I opted to make this bottom section of this particular cane blue, with the red being present on the reflective tape. And then Ambutech also offers a variety of cane tips, and these are hook-on tips. And so the nice thing is, I can pull this cane tip right out, and there's even, they put a knot in, so, and I just noticed this for the first time. I did not know this, so I'm learning. There's this little stopper, and it is a long T-shaped piece of plastic when it runs perpendicular. That way the knot and the piece stop this tip from going anywhere. If I wanted to replace the tip, I can slide this hook right here. So if this was an old nasty boy, which it is, but it's not unusable, so I shall keep it for now. But it has a hook piece on it here. I'm hoping I'm getting that in camera. I'll just rotate it around, and that hook then hook right back on. If this were now a new tip, I could hook it back in, pull this out, adjust the little T-shaped dude. Trying to do this with, there we go. Uh-oh, just took the tip off again. I messed it up. Okay, hold on. Yay, for live recording bits. Okay, and then we can stick it right back in. Oop, maybe. Perfect. Snug as a bug in a rug. So, Ambutech, some advantages and disadvantages. This particular cane, I believe, I'm going to put it in its kind of resting position near my shoulder here. And here we're doing it live, folks. Zoom, and hello there. So, Ambutech, in terms of customization, offers several material types, including aluminum, which can be kind of heavy. That's what canes were traditionally made of when I started getting into using canes about 20 years ago. And so aluminum is a little heavy. It can bend, so it will take a beating. That can be a pro, but it will also bend, which doesn't work out well when you lean a car seat too far back or something and you get it stuck somewhere and it ends up with a crook in it for the rest of your cane's life cycle. So there's the aluminum. Fiberglass is big, it's really heavy, it's not gonna break, it's not gonna give fantastic feedback, but it will also kind of take a pretty good beating before anything happens to it. And my personal favorite from Ambutech specifically is this guy. This is graphite. And it's kind of a medium in terms of weight. It's not super light, but it's also not super heavy. And fairly indestructible. The feedback is kind of middle of the road, I would say. Not amazing, but not horrible. And tends to be pretty well wearing altogether. The bungee cord, which Ambutech also sells as its own accessory, unlike most cane companies, tends to have to be replaced before the cane itself. So, I'm going to fold up the Ambutech. And like I said, this has been my daily driver for quite a while, and honestly, that was not the goal. I used to always use canes from the National Federation of the Blind, and NFB is the acronym that we use for National Federation of the Blind. NFB is a fantastic company with cane designs that are really light, They're very easy to use, especially their telescopic canes, because they are made of carbon fiber. Somewhere at my job, I may or may not have lost one that is floating around in the ether, so I don't have one to show you today. But I still want to talk about them for one primary reason, and that is that they are really hard to find and are just as expensive as any of these other options. Amutech, I can go onto their website, which I will put a link to in the description for those who might be interested in ordering a cane for themselves or somebody else. A little bit pricey, very customizable, and widely available, and you will get them relatively quickly after you order them because you can just hop online and order it. NFB used to have an online store, and during COVID it got shut down, and if you go to the Independence Market, which is what their store is called, for 4 years it has now said coming soon, and it hasn't happened. And so, instead of trying to call their office in Baltimore, Maryland, and play phone tag with somebody until they pick up the phone, and then place an order over the phone, make sure they have my card and address information correct, and then wait for Free Matter of the Blind to eventually send me a cane, I have started looking for other, more convenient options for my lifestyle as a traveling professional who works with kids. Now, telescoping canes are my favorite thing, and I have one more to show you. This is what I would call the Disruptor. And this cane, I don't know that it has a specific title, but I found it on Amazon thanks to a recommendation of a friend of mine who I got to check one out during a contract I did about a month ago. So thank you, Olivia, for the recommendation. And this cane is on Amazon, so it's pretty readily available. It is telescoping. It's also made of a material that's rather unique and has some other great features. So we're going to do the same thing I did for the Amutech and take a tour. So when it comes to telescoping canes, one of the biggest frustrations for a lot of folks is that as you're walking, I can demonstrate this with part of this cane, and then I can get into why it's fun in a minute. But if I pull this section out right here, and we'll get to why it's different, everybody calm down. But if I'm walking, I'm going to put my hand in front of me as a barrier, as a bump to bump into, and a traditional telescoping cane will hit a particularly uneven surface and collapse. It's really frustrating because then you have to readjust your cane before you resume walking. It's exhausting, and it just is inconvenient, especially if you're a fast traveler or if you're in an urban environment where you're catching a train, catching a bus, navigating a busy intersection and your cane collapses on you. Not convenient at all. Another con to telescoping canes, especially carbon fiber ones, they're breakable. We've all been victim to the illicit car door, or sighted person stepping on it, or blind person stepping on it, let's be real. Or us stepping on them and breaking them. And so that's where this cane has some amazing features that I'm really excited to show you. I will also put a link to this particular model in the description for the Amazon listing. Now, this cane is their tallest size. If I remember correctly, it is 54 inches tall. Post-editing Chris here to tell you that this cane is in fact 59 inches tall, not 54. Which on me personally comes to about chin height, which is a little shorter than I tend to like to go with canes. But it's definitely not too bad at all. Alright, tour time. So, this cane, rather than having the bungee, has almost a softer, I would call it a cross between a paracord and a piece of yarn. I'm not really sure what the material is. It's a little stretchy. It's got a little give to it, but it's not particularly stretchy. Coming down from there, we do have a cap where the rubber of the grip material, which we'll get to in a moment, is kind of over the top just a touch, and so it seems like this piece is pretty well in there. I don't know if it could be replaced or not if something were to happen to the string. And this cane has no loop in the string, and we'll get to why that is in a moment. Now, the odd thing about this cane is that it's actually not circular. If I put it down on the table next to me, it doesn't roll exactly. Maybe once and then it settles. Sort of shaped like a pencil, in that it has 4 sides, each of which are kind of on a square. And as I rotate the cane, if you can see, you'll be able to see the differences. This grip also has a texture to it. And tactily, I can tell it's a little patterned, but my fiance said it kind of looks almost scaled, like a mermaid or a dragon. There is a sticker on the top. I believe the text is not in English, but there is a look at the sticker. I don't know if it has the company name, potentially in Chinese or another language. And then, yeah, so that's the grip section. It's fairly grippy. I don't know how well wearing it will be, as opposed to other grip sections I've used. But that's not why I got this cane. There is a specific reason. One thing you may have noticed as I've been doing my rotations is that this grip has a hole in it. Why is there a hole? That looks intentional. Well, friends, this is this cane's key feature. So if I go ahead and show you the rest of the cane here, it's a telescoping cane, so I can take this bottom section and pull it, and you may have heard a click. And the reason you heard a click is that there is now a small peg in this hole, and it has put these two together. So I'm going to do the same demonstration I did a moment ago with my hand. This is not collapsing. I am now pushing on it as hard as I can, and it's not going anywhere, okay? That is this cane's feature. So at every section, you're hearing clicks as each one goes down. Now, I can put this cane down, and I could potentially, I don't want to break it, but I could almost lean on it, and I can push it pretty hard into the floor, and it is not going anywhere. This cane is relatively lightweight and will not collapse until I choose to allow it to do so by coming back up to the grip section, pushing this button, and doing one of my favorite things. You ready? I'm gonna try to get this all in frame, or as close as I can get. How about that? It just clicks all back into one unit. So, each section of this cane is similarly shaped to the grip in that you have these 4 squared off bits that kind of create almost a, my fiance said it really well. She said it looks like a pencil. And so it is almost a pencil-shaped cane, which is kind of cool. So all of the other sections are white, except for our last 2. And specifically, they are this really cool colored, like a reflective red-pink material, which is really interesting to me. And I've never seen another cane like that before. So the tip on this cane is the only potential downside. And what's interesting to me is it feels, and maybe looks a little, like the glide tip from the Ambutech. Not exactly, but it's kind of got this disc shape. So the Ambutech cane is on your right-hand side, and the new cane, this collapsible telescoping cane here, is on the left. And what's interesting about this tip specifically is that it rolls. And so it's kind of a cross between a glide and a rolling tip. Now, we're gonna get into practicality. If I have it, I am going to, at this time, insert a little bit of test footage. I was literally leaving to go for a kind of a fall walk with my fiance, and the new cane showed up outside my door. So I grabbed it and said, okay, we'll test it out on the walk. And I probably used the thing for maybe 5 minutes altogether. And what I noticed instantly is that the tip of this cane, and I'm gonna try to get it as straight on as I can and as close as I can to the camera here, is already scratched up a little bit from the uneven sidewalk that we were walking on. And that is probably the biggest downside of this cane, is the tips may have to be replaced fairly often. in that this company, recognizing that this is something you may want to alleviate, has an option on Amazon. It's kind of an A option, a B option, and a C option, I believe is how they're categorized. A is the cane, and the cane. That's it. Just what you're seeing here is what you get. B, I believe, includes one replacement cane tip, and C includes a Ziploc, which I went ahead and got. And that on it has 2 of these replacement tips that are threaded here. And so I believe they can unscrew from the cane itself. I haven't attempted to do that yet, but I will keep these in my backpack in case of the need for replacements. So, what does that mean for this cane? Is it useless because I can't have it outside? It depends what you specifically are doing. My first impressions, as you saw in those clips, were that it probably is suited best if you have a more predictable or indoor routine where this rolling tip can, really help you out a lot in tiled and carpeted surfaces, fairly predictable travel routines, maybe in and out of the train, up and down the stairs to work, that sort of thing. It does not seem as robust and killer as the glide tips, and because it's a threaded system, I'm not sure that these things would apply across different cane tip models. I don't think you can replace this with a glide tip from, say, Ambutech or NFT. So I really like this cane for a few things. I'm going to give it a little while to test it out at work. I will also be probably taking this with me when I go to Virginia for my speaking gig, because this is what I would call a very airportable cane, because I can get it out, I can bonk around. It's pretty light, even though it has so many sections. I believe it's made of some form of a titanium alloy. I'm not 100% sure on that, but the Amazon listing will tell you more. And then as soon as I have to go through security, instead of having to take a minute, fold the cane up, deal with the strap, all I have to do, and again, I don't think I'm getting it all in frame, but I have one hand on the cane tip and one hand on the button. As soon as I push this button, I can push the two together, and this is just a very fun activity. Boom. It is that easy, and none of this is sponsored. I was not sent any canes for any kind of review. I'm also looking at getting some canes from Sedona Dave in Arizona that are meant for outdoor traversal and travel, and I am hoping that those get here soon. I'm having a little bit of trouble getting a hold of them to place an order, so as soon as that happens, I'll let you know. But the plan is to look at those, and I was hoping I would have them in time for my presentation later this month, but I'm not sure if that'll happen or not. However, either way, these canes, and hopefully my telescoping one that is floating around my job, if I can find it, are going to go with me on my travels, and I can give you kind of more comparisons and that sort of thing if you're interested. This has been a very rambly video, but I think one of the things that doesn't happen in the BVI community specifically is that we don't talk openly and honestly about the pros and cons of different canes at different price points. These were fairly comparable. If I remember right, my Ambutech cane ran me about $45 to $50, and I believe this new cane was about the same, like $47 maybe. So they're not cheap, and that's why I wanted to make a video saying, hey, this is a tour top to bottom of both. These are the potential use cases, pros and cons. For example, the Ambutech cane is heavier, but it has a better wearing tip and the customization for color, whereas this new cane is a lot lighter, has a unique design, has the anti-collapse feature, but may not be the best for outdoor travel, but also has replacement tips. So there's pros, there's cons, there's layers to everything, and when it comes to the blind community, we need to be able to make informed decisions about things, and I'm really passionate about that. And to the degree that I am able, with my lifestyle and things, to provide real information to you, I'm going to be honest, I'm going to give my real thoughts, and I'm willing to invest in those things to a reasonable degree. especially considering that I am professionally able to take advantage of some of these things in that I can now present them to other people. I can help other people make informed decisions. And I'm hoping that this was maybe helpful for you. If it was, please hit the like button, subscribe if you want to see more. If you have any questions or comments, queries, theories, concerns, or anything else, please don't hesitate to leave those in the comment section down below. And thank you for checking out this big old video about canes and new canes, new designs. I really appreciate it, and we will see you soon. Peace.